Hey everybody, welcome to BrickVault. Today is another LEGO weekly news update. Plenty of things happened in the world of LEGO this week, and I'm not even going to bother to do a summary or anything. I'm just going to get right into it. Before I jump into the first story though, the custom build that went up in our web store came from my brother Charlie, and it is the Jurassic Park inspired Ford Explorer and Jeep. These little models are pretty fun. The Ford Explorer in particular is incredibly colorful with that crazy paint job. There's a couple of Easter eggs also on the inside, and the models are actually pretty darn strong. You can definitely roll them around and play with them. If you'd like to build the models yourself, you can buy the instructions at our web store, www.brickvault.toys. Tons of crazy cool models are there at the web store if you haven't already visited. I highly recommend you check it out. And now let's jump into the first story of the week. And I'm sure if you've been paying attention at all to the news stories from any type of LEGO media at all this last week, then you are not the first one hearing it from me. But yes, the UCS A-Wing has officially been announced, and it's coming out May 1st. Now, this doesn't come as a surprise to me or many of you that have been paying attention to the rumors coming down the way, but nonetheless, it is always kind of a little bit shocking and revealing when these things first do get announced, and I think it's a pretty darn good looking big old model. The designer video, along with the official pictures, has also been released, and I was suspecting it, but yes, the LEGO lead Star Wars designer Hans was behind this. He also built the UCS Millennium Falcon, so I think we're all in pretty good hands when it comes down to the details and also the internal structural components when putting this thing together. He's a really good designer. Logistically, it is 1,673 pieces. It's going to sell for $199.99 in the States. It has an exclusive A-Wing pilot, and someone let me know, but I think that windscreen is a new mold. I'm not totally sure. Hans, the designer in the video, says that this is basically just 2 times the size of a normal minifig scale A-Wing, but it looks pretty darn large. And I'm curious to know what you guys in the comments below think about this model. Personally, I'd say it's a pretty decent design through and through. There's a little bit of layering in the white that lead up to the nose that feels less smooth than like the actual A-Wing. But that's the only thing that I can try to nitpick right now just from the pictures. I don't really know if I'm gonna feel like those details are off when I actually have the build in my hands. So there you have it. The A-Wing's gonna be out pretty darn soon in just a couple of weeks. So we're definitely excited here in the studio to fill out the last of the alphabet fighters in the UCS collection. Admittedly, we don't have the X-Wing or the B-Wing now that I think about it. Anyways, BrickSet also released an article. This is kind of funny. They're very also nitpicky when it comes to the written details. The plaques apparently for a long time have had minor errors for a lot of the different Star Wars UCS sets. I was unaware of this until reading the article now, but I do think it is kind of funny. Apparently they got the old measurement, the inaccurate measurement of the A-Wing length on the official plaque, and it's off by like many meters, by a huge amount. To be perfectly honest, after having done so many minifig scale models and done a lot of research with a ton of the different vehicles from Star Wars, we in the studio realized pretty quickly, and also a lot of model makers and LEGO builders realized pretty quickly, that the official lengths assigned by Lucasfilm is often somewhat arbitrary, but they really did get the official length off by many meters for this really small ship. It's like one of the smallest ships in the Star Wars universe, and they made it almost more than 2 meters too long. There's a couple of other slight errors on the plaque as well, and I think that's just kind of funny. At the end of the day, I didn't know that there were errors on any of the plaques because I never read them, but that's just me. I just kind of like that blue outline. Anyways, I highly recommend you check out the designer video if you haven't already, and there's also a really cool model that got revealed this week that has been completely overshadowed by the A-Wing news, and that is the new Technic Ducati. Specifically, it is the Panigale VR4. I think it came out last year. And from anybody that knows anything about racing bikes, it is supposed to be like one of the most insane machines of all time. Personally, I'm a fan of the dual sports and the scramblers and the cafe racers. So admittedly, I don't know much about this bike, but after looking at the racing specs of this thing, I have no problem admitting that this is simply too much machine for me. I think the Technic model looks very very, very good. It's nice seeing a large Technic model done with red accents, and stylistically I'd say those angular thin red plates that are used to really shape the body of this build work quite well with the Technic aesthetic. Normally I'm a big fan of just system bricks, but it makes sense to make this bike out of the pieces that they used. According to the initial press release, they've actually upped the price, or maybe the original price was an error, but it is going to sell for $69.99 starting August 1st, and this set is 664 pieces. We skip out on like 90% or 99% of all Technic builds that come out for the year, but this might just be one that we end up getting here in the studio. I'm gonna be super tempted. Now moving on, this is a really interesting week because it looks like 3 different models all got 10,000 votes of support all at the same time for LEGO Ideas. 2 of these models I think people had been voting on for quite some time. One got voted through I think a little bit faster, but still. They all lined up this week, and let's start off with the Ruined House. From the designer Kerr team, this is a pretty detailed, relatively large scale house. When you look at the size of the doors and the gates, you actually get an idea for a really large structure, but they almost feel like those pieces are sort of small in comparison to the rest of the build. Really though, what sold this for a lot of people is the incredibly detailed structure that is slowly but surely falling apart. And honestly, I'm curious to know how some of those connections work, considering this whole thing is done in digital. Well, the LEGO design team will find that out. I know they try at least to build a recreation of every single model that gets voted in for 10,000, so this will be definitely a cool one, I think, for the designers to attempt, and congrats to the builder, Kerr team. Next up, the historically accurate Rome got 10,000 votes in from the builder David, and this is cool. This is interesting. It's definitely different from anything else that gets voted in, and it's different from anything else that technically gets produced from LEGO, so this would be a very big and interesting departure from what is normally getting pushed out. But personally, I think it's a really fun micro scale model. It's not a small model, even though this is done in micro scale. It's actually really big. Almost 3,000 pieces, and I don't know what the footprint is on this model, but it looks like 3 base plates lined up back to back. Definitely an interesting and unique model to put forward in ideas, and I'm glad that weird, interesting things like this get enough support from time to time to actually get voted through. The last one to get 10,000 votes for this week is Coralines Pink Palace Apartments, and it was built by the designer Watchman. This is a really fun looking build, and honestly something that I could imagine LEGO producing if they got the correct licenses. What works well is that it's a standalone building. It's not built at that 32 by 32 modular style, which I think unofficially LEGO might not be accepting as design choice. I'm not really sure, they haven't specifically said so, but this doesn't fit in the same way, and it could get produced similar to how the fishing store got built. What's cool about this model though is that it actually opens up, and as far as I can tell, it looks very accurate compared to what the original Coraline Pink Palace Apartments looked like. It's got a bunch of the minifig characters. Sorry, I'm not very familiar with this universe, but it's definitely a fun looking model from the outside, and the details certainly are there, and I understand why people voted for him. So anyways, congratulations to the 3 builders for getting those 10,000 votes in. And then I saw this from Alan Tran at thebrickfan.com. But LEGO is looking for adult fans of LEGO AFOLs to join a beta tester group for a new project over at Tongal. No details, you have to sign an NDA, and the test actually started a couple of days ago, and it lasts until June 19th. Alan left the email in his article, so that's linked in the description below if you wanted to contact them and be part of this test. You have to be 18 years or older, sign the NDA, and I don't know if they're still accepting applications, but anyways, this is a thing. I talked last week about the Shazam movie going on, I think, pre-order. You get an exclusive Shazam fig along with it. Anyways, there's an actual trailer out for it. I said it was out last week. It actually wasn't. They just sort of announced it. So anyways, they left a YouTube link to the Shazam trailer. And then over at Brickset, there is an interview with the winners of the first season of the LEGO Masters show. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to show pictures. I'm just going to say that there's an article article and they talk to the winning team. Definitely a big congratulations to the winning team, and congratulations to everybody that participated. It was definitely a fun show. I missed a couple of episodes in the middle, not gonna lie, and then I saw the last few. And for anybody that is interested for jumping into LEGO Masters Season 2, the casting has now opened, or the applications for applying have now opened, and there is a link for that also in the description below if that's what you guys want to do. And then guess what? Breaking news, I just saw this article from Alan Tran at thebrickfan.com, but it looks like the SpongeBob SquarePants Krusty Krab got votes of 10,000 for LEGO Ideas. So that's actually the fourth one for this week. They got 10,000 votes of support. The designer is X Sandbox, who's got some amazing builds under their belt already, and this model looks so awesome. LEGO has had the license of SpongeBob SquarePants before, and in fact for quite a long time, so of course it's conceivable that they could get it again for this one specific release, but something tells me that like a 10-year or 20-year anniversary thing would have to line up properly in order for them to feel like they are justified enough to make another LEGO SpongeBob SquarePants set. If they do though, this will be like the ultimate one. It looks amazing, and now we can finish the episode. Anyways, that is it for the weekly news update, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy our content, you can always like or subscribe. Remember to check out our web store. It really helps support us and all the designers that we work with. That's all linked in the description below, along with everything that I've talked about in this episode. Top 10 mocks of the week is tomorrow. Thank you again for watching, and we'll see you next time at BrickVault.